Hello, this is Gary Black with the Trusted Handyman channel on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. Here's another video on toilet repair that I wanted to bring out to you guys. It's a pretty common repair that DIYers can do themselves, but just want to jump right into it. First thing I want to tell you is I actually have this toilet sitting in my kitchen because it's cold outside today, so I don't have any water in the toilet. There's no actual running water to it. So some of these things we're just going to kind of simulate, you know, so your individual situation might be different. But let's jump right into it. We're going to be using the Fluidmaster all-in-one and universal kit. It pretty much covers all the toilets that are out there, but you just need to double check before you go to the big box store as to what toilet you have and what kit you need. This is a Gerber toilet that we're working on today, so this is the kit that we'll be using. So let's jump right into it. First things first, you will need to cut the water off to the actual toilet. So we're going to take this and turn it off right at our cutoff valve. Then get you a small bucket and put in this area to remove the supply line. Just turn the supply line. You should be able to turn it by hand. You really don't need a wrench for that. Just remove that supply line. There will be some water that will drain out of that. Not a whole lot. Just enough that you'll need a little bucket or a sponge or something like that. So that supply line just turns and it will remove just like that. Okay, there'll be a little bit of water under that. Just leave your bucket under there while that drips a little bit, and then we'll move on to what we need to do inside of the tank. So we now have the water turned off and we have the supply line disconnected. We're going to go ahead and remove the lid excuse me, off of the tank. We're going to set it aside. We're going to go ahead and flush the toilet. Flush it and hold the flusher down so that all the water goes out of the tank that's possible. And then again, you know, like I said, there's no water in this tank. This is for demonstration purposes only. So just wait a few minutes, let all the water run out that you possibly can. There's going to be a little bit in the tank, so just grab your sponge. It's a regular old household sponge, and just sponge around until you get the majority of the water out of the tank. There's not going to be a whole lot, but I like to get it pretty dry, especially if I'm working in someone's home and I have to remove the tank or walk through their living room or something like that. I don't want it dripping. So now that we have the tank dried off or dried out, we want to remove the tank and set it over to the side. So the way you do that is there's two bolts under the tank holding it onto the actual bowl itself. This particular tank has plastic nuts on it, so you really don't need a tool. Some toilets have metal nuts on them. You can use a socket or you can use a adjustable wrench, whatever you need. But this one you don't. Really, they're just kind of hand tight, and you can see just little plastic ones. So you take those off, set it over to the side because you will need those. Then you just gently pick up on the tank and move it over to the side. All right, now we're back to the tank, and as you can see, this is what the inside of the tank looks like. These are all the old pieces to the tank, and in this kit we actually have a new flush handle or flusher. We'll be replacing that as well. So let's get started. So with all the water out of the tank, it's dried off. We'll turn it around just so you can see in the camera what we're actually dealing with. So what I like to do first is remove these two plastic nuts here off of the tank bolts. That's what these are called. And you just kind of hold the bolt like that and simply remove it, whatever's best for you. If they're really tight, you can always take a screwdriver and stick it inside of the tank and hold the top of the bolt while you're taking the plastic nut off of here. Okay, so we have those off. We'll stand it back up just so you can see. We'll take those bolts off, and you can see these bolts are just corroded up. There's the rubber washer that keeps the tank from actually leaking. So I'm going to set this aside. There's two of those. Get my hand down in there. Same thing. And you can do this in any order you choose. There's not a particular way you need to do it. Okay, so next thing is the tank seal. It's the rubber gasket that seals the tank down to the actual toilet bowl. Take that off, set that to the side. Now, to remove the flush valve, we've got to remove this large nut right here. I'm going to remove that. Once you remove that, all the insides of the toilet will pretty much come loose. Let me see if I have pliers that are big enough to get on there. I think I do. This is usually pretty tight, so I'm going to turn this over. Try and get this. May need larger pair of pliers. Yes. That's really difficult. I didn't know it was going to be that difficult. So that is extremely difficult. Okay, I had to go get a different pair of pliers to get around the big nut here that holds the fill valve on. So let's that is tight. So got a couple spins there. All right. So as you can see, that just spins off. Okay, set all that to the side. At that point, just remove. See, that actually came out. Now, what we're gonna do is gonna remove this nut off of here. Fill valve. Move that, set it to the side. Now you can just disconnect the chain from the flush handle. There are a bunch of different ways that these can come off. Okay, now you can remove all the internal parts of the actual toilet. Set them over to the side. As you can see, the toilet now is pretty bare. I'm actually gonna remove the handle. On the nut that holds the flush handle in, it actually has reverse threads on it. So it's not right to tight, left to loosen. It's just the opposite. So just remember that. So I'll go ahead and remove that. Just take that out. I'll go ahead and just put that nut back on. See, like I was saying, have to go this way with it. Okay, I'll set that over to the side as well. Okay, so now we literally have everything out of the bowl. Okay, so now let's get our pieces here. Okay. Got all the pieces and parts that we need. Put the toilet back together. Okay. So I'm going to remove the seal off of there. Set that over to the side. I'm going to remove the nut off of the flush valve assembly. Set that to the side. And I'm going to insert that into the tank. Okay, I'm going to turn the tank up on the side. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to put this nut back on there, and I'm tightening this nut down while I'm holding the valve in the inside of the tank. Okay. You just want to make sure that that valve is not covering the tank bolt holes. So just kind of adjust that where it needs to be. Pretty much like that. It really needs to, the fill tube really needs to be on this side of it because the fill valve goes on this side. So just get it situated where it needs to go. Kind of hold on to it. Get your pliers and tighten it down good. Give it a couple turns. Okay. Give it a couple turns. While we have the tank up on its side like that, we're going to take the rubber seal, rubber gasket, and you're going to fit it over those threads and over that nut. Okay? So now that we have that done, that's kind of what it looks like inside. Okay? Now what I like to do is go ahead and put the new tank bolts in right now. So I've got plenty of room to work with these. Okay? So I'm going to dump everything out here so I can access it better. Okay? Make sure we've got everything that we need. Okay? Alright. Usually I'll take a rubber washer, push it through, make sure it's flush with the head of the screw, just like so. Push that on there good. Okay. Now we're going to put that through the tank, like so. Okay. One right there. So Then this particular kit has the nuts where you can put it on there and it'll hold the tank bolt secure to the tank. You can use the nuts that came with it, or you can use the plastic ones that came with it or came off the old one. Either way, the plastic ones are easier to use, so I'm just going to use those for demonstration purposes, but you can use either or, it doesn't matter. The goal is to just make sure on this toilet that these bolts are pulled down tight to those washers so that it does not leak. That's all this step is doing, is making sure that that's pulled down good and tight. Okay, now turn it up and do the other one. See? Make sure those are good and make sure it's good and tight. Okay. I don't know that you'll be able to see it in the camera, but you can see that I've got it pulled down really good and tight. The bolt heads actually have an indentation in the rubber washer, so we should be good with that. We should not have any leaks, but if we do, we will address that. We can put a flat blade screwdriver in there, turn it tight on the bottom, pull those down really good and tight. So, okay, now we've got that done. Go ahead and put our flush valve in there. Basically, that just sits down in the tank in the hole that's on the left-hand side. Okay. You kind of want to make sure that's turned, and this little fill hole here is pointing towards this fill tube, because what's going to happen is we're gonna put this line in there so that it can fill the toilet, and then we're going to connect it over here. So just kind of keep that in mind whenever you're putting the fill valve back into the tank. Okay, so go ahead and open this up. Okay. We're going to go ahead and slip this washer on there. Push that washer up on there really good and tight. All right, go ahead and start the plastic washer on there. I'm not going to tighten it all the way down yet till I make sure that I've got this positioned correctly. See, that turned on me a little bit. Okay. So now I have it positioned correctly. I'm going to hold the fill valve there, and I'm going to tighten it down good. You really want to tighten that down really, really snug so that it compresses that washer so you don't have any leaks. Okay, so now that's kind of what we are looking like so far. Okay, so let's go ahead and we will add the fill line tube onto here. Okay, that simply just pushes on there. It's got these little clamps that secure it in there, so you just push that hose up on there. And we have this little piece that goes on here. Put that little clamp down on that to hold it into place. And that hooks just like that to fill the water. That will fill the actual tank, is what that does. Okay. And looks like everything is good there. Everything's tight. Looks good. And you've got, you can do different adjustments with this Fluidmaster filler valve. That's what this is. You can adjust it, you know, either way you want to. You can add more water into the bowl or add more water into the tank first. Just depends. So anyway, that's all you need to do there. Since we have it here, let's go ahead and put the new handle in there. Remember, you got to turn this nut backwards. Okay, we'll do that. Slip the nut off and have to feed it. Turn this around. Have to feed the handle in this way, and it has a little collar on it. I don't know if you could see it in the camera or not, but it's got a square collar around this handle that actually meets or matches this square hole. So just make sure you get that lined up in there good. Then you take the nut, thread it down the rod, and just remember it tightens up in reverse. Okay, so that's all you have to do there. And I put the handle on upside down. So see, sometimes it happens, especially when you're trying to work with the camera like that. Let me turn it around so I can see what's going on here. I promise I'll get the handle on. Let's put the... I'm sure this handle is going to work for this toilet. That's the problem with this. Not sure this handle is going to work for this toilet. So let's go back with the other flush. As you can see, there's a difference in them. See how that is? You have to watch out for that. You don't necessarily have to change this whenever you're changing the internal parts of the tank. It's not necessary really for the operation. I mean, if the toilet's not able to be flushed and this is broken, then you replace it. But this is one thing that, you know, it won't work with this toilet. You can see that this one is straight, that one's got an angle. So that's fine. I mean, those are the kind of things you run into. So let's go ahead and put the same handle back on there. So tighten that nut up. So we've got that tightened. Now you've got the chain piece in here that's actually attached to the flapper. And if you look at the flusher handle arm, there are holes in it. This particular one has 3 holes in it. This one that we did not use has 3 holes, and then it has some little slots. You can use those as adjustments as well. But I just wanted to show you that. So you just want to find the hole that best matches that. It gives you a good flush. Whenever you flush the handle, the flapper should come up all the way. If not, you just adjust the chain on the little clip. I don't know if you can see this on the camera or not, but the little chain has links in it, and you just run the clip through the little links, and that shortens the chain so that you can get better movement with the flush handle. And you just try it again. You can always change the different holes. So there we go. So that's flushing a lot better now. That should be fine. Okay, so basically we have rebuilt the inside of the tank bowl. The next step is to put the tank back on the actual bowl and bolt it back down, and then we'll connect the water and check for leaks. So we'll do that in just a minute. Okay, so now we're going to take the tank and put it on the bowl. There are the 2 screws. Just line that up. You see we have this seal. This seal actually sits down in the hole here, and these 2 mate together, and that makes it where we have a watertight connection, so nothing leaks. But you can see there should be a good view of these screws and nuts. Everything's on there. Everything's good and tight. So we'll line those up, put them in there. So everything feels good there. Okay, just keep your hand on the tank. I'm gonna go back with the plastic nut, and I always try and put a washer on it just so there's a little bit of a pressure point between the nut and the tank, so you don't accidentally crack the tank. But anyway, I'm gonna put these on there. I know you can't see that, but basically they just screw right onto those tank bolts. Get them started real good. Once you get one in, you can kind of let it go. I'm gonna do the same thing with the other one. Take the washer, put it here, get it started. Usually like to get it started, then I usually sit on the toilet backwards, and that way I can reach it better. Tighten those down really tight, but usually hand tight does it. One thing that I've learned over the years is you put a little pressure, push down on the actual tank as you're turning those bolts, just so you're compressing that big seal that's in there. You remember that big red looking seal that we had between the tank and the bowl? You just want to kind of press down a little bit while you're tightening the tank bolts, just so you compress that seal down. Make sure the tank is good and solid. See, it is, it's not moving. And basically that's it. So we've got the tank totally rebuilt now. We've got it back on the bowl. So I'm going to go ahead and connect the supply line to the toilet. Basically you just turn that. And this toilet is actually, I'll just tell you this while I'm screwing this on, this toilet is actually a standard height toilet. You can get chair height toilets. And if you're doing that, if you're replacing a standard height toilet with a chair height toilet, you may need to get a longer supply line. So just keep that in mind. Supply lines are $6 or $8. You know, if you go to change out the toilet or, you know, something like that. So anyway, just want to make sure you got that good and tight. Now that's tight, we want to turn the water back on with your shut-off valve and let the tank fill up with water. A lot of tanks have a water fill line. You can go by that. Basically, that's it. Let it fill up. I usually flush it a couple times, make sure it flushes well, nothing's running, you don't have any leaks. Check around the bottom. If you have a leak when the toilet is just sitting there, then you need to check your tank bolts. If you have a leak when you flush it, then typically the leak is coming from that big red seal between the tank and the actual bowl. You know, maybe something got shifted when you were moving it, or it just slipped down, or what have you. I have had that problem a few times on different model toilets, but really that's it. You know, it takes 20-30 minutes, you know, maybe certainly less than an hour to do the entire repair, as long as you have the kit, you know, and a couple simple things, you know, to remove that large bolt or that large nut underneath the tank. You know, we needed a big pair of channel lock pliers, or else, you know, I use my my specialty pliers for that. But that was the biggest thing. You might want to have a flat blade screwdriver, and you might need a adjustable wrench depending on what type tank bolts you have. That's it. I'm gonna go ahead and put the top back on the tank, and that is it. We just rebuilt this Gerber toilet with the all-in-one Fluidmaster universal tank kit, and it's really a nice kit. You can pick it up at your local store, Lowe's, Home Depot, what have you, for, I guess they're about 20 bucks. They actually have a how-to video on their website. You can go and look at that. This one is actually a model 400 ARHRK. And as we saw, the actual handle did not fit my Gerber tank. So just want to make sure. You can get some of them with the flush handle. You can get some of them, I think they make a kit that does not have the handle. But it's not a big deal. Like I said, you don't really have to change the handle whenever you're rebuilding the toilet. But anyway, that's it. Again, my name is Gary Black. I am on YouTube with the Trusted Handyman. Please subscribe and like and leave comments. I try and answer everything I can, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.